Well, folks, I want to open this up just for about 10 minutes of question and answer with Karen, and feel free to put anything in the chat. So, no question is too big or too deep. What do you want to talk about with regards to rage, grief, goodness? I'm going to see what we've got in here. Here's a question for you, Karen. Would you be willing to share your experience of not feeling safe to express rage?
Not feeling safe. I don't know if I understand that question
Hmm.
completely.
I wonder
Uh,
if it's a reference to having to manage rage and anger on a
oh,
daily basis.
yeah. I have humorous ways of doing that. All black people do. We all figured out because there's a lot for us. I mean, if you talk about rage, you wonder why there are fewer, very few black people are school shooters and mass murderers. We interpersonal, yes, but that mass shooting kind of thing. Think about the rage that we have inside of us, the things we observe and still keep it together. It's a survival skill. So um, we learn as children. My great grandfather was born right after Emancipation. He says that the Emancipation was a coffee break, but you have to always be on alert for when the coffee breaks over. And so that was my lesson from the time I was a witty bitty baby. And I'm teaching my little 6-year-old that now too. She's starting to learn about how she's going to be navigating in the world as a black person, as a brown person.
Mhm.
So it's managed, we just, it's in my, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just something we know how to do. And we have cues for one another when we see each other. If you ever see black people recognize each other and they do the nod, like you're with a black friend and you walk down the street and they see another black friend, they do the nod, they're like, "What's up?" That's just to say, "Are you okay? I see you. We're okay." It's like a beautiful thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It's one of the most best things about being black is the nod. You can do that to have affirmation of security and safety.
Mhm.
So we get it in all kind of ways.
Thank you. Here's a big question for you, Karen. How do we unplug the US from militarism, gun violence, and ego? What comes up for you when you hear that? How do we unplug the US from militarism, gun violence, and ego?
We're going to have a revolution. I mean, we're going to have to change the country completely. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't doubt the resiliency of capitalism and militarism. There's just too much at stake. And I think we're moving towards fascism personally with this Republican Party. If you look at that vote in the Senate, I mean, in the House, the absolute divide around voting rights. I mean, that was stunning considering in just a few years before all the Republicans had voted for it. We're not going anywhere towards that. We're going to have to survive the next right wing wave, which is coming back in the next two elections, I believe. So we've got to, I think that's a long way off. I don't think we
Mhm.
unplug. I think we have to be ready to resist the next wave. And after that, maybe something will happen. But we're going to go down. Rome is falling. And we're going to see some horrific days ahead, I believe, in this country. The insurrection is not over, it will return
Mhm.
and it'll be worse. My humble
Well,
opinion.
yeah, I remember you were one of the only people I knew in maybe summertime 2016 who said Trump was getting elected.
Oh, I know, I know. I won a lot of bets that year.
Yeah, I bet you
Because I
did.
listen to right wing radio all the time, so I pay
Mhm.
attention. I'm on lots of websites and Facebook groups with them.
Well, Karen, I have another. I'm seeing a theme here in our chat now with these questions, and it's, I think, kind of a pivot into being in being in those moments, sharing society and space with people who it's really easy to just deem as bad. Uh, People are wanting to hear more about this experience that you have of holding yourself and your values, or however, maybe I'm misnaming it here. How do you, that loosely holding experience in order to step into a space with someone who is other in some way and find that new thing? Would you be willing to try to put some more words to that?
Well, I think this is the first time I've ever used that loosely hold on to, because it just came to me, loosely hold on so that I can be open to for that space in between holding on to an idea or holding on to a value or a position and then letting it go. Um, and some of that happens to me in these Facebook groups. I was in the Women for Trump, Minnesota Facebook group. I just signed up for it. I have various assumed names, and so I could just interact with these people that I really probably wouldn't interact with normally, but I want to know who they were. I was curiosity is what it does. You let go with curiosity. If you're not curious, then how can you be a human? I just don't see how you can be human without being curious and letting that curiosity overtake you sometime and joy and power and fear and letting all the emotions go along with that curiosity. I'm fearful but curious. I'm happy but curious. Everything I do is rooted in curiosity. I want to understand, I want to know. It's cultural humility, really.
Mhm.
I'm not culturally competent. That's a fraud, but I'm humble. I want to know. So when I was in this room with this Trump woman, she was typing in the chat about her husband and some drama she's going through, and so I ministered to her. I mean, I talked her through some stuff and asked her some questions. I mean, I was being a chaplain in this group, and she had said some horrific things in this group, QAnon stuff and all. But I said, well, let me just extend myself. It's not going to kill me to just write 4 or 5 sentences that maybe can help her think through this situation, because I think she was being abused by her husband.
Mm.
So that mattered to me. It mattered to me. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. But it mattered to me to make that connection because I was curious and I gave a shit.
And we need to wrap up our
I know.
conversation now. I'll let this go over. I apologize to our people. This was just too good. But, you know, thank you, Karen, for sharing your experiences, being so real and so honest with us. Um, and I'm grateful that we're ending on this note of humility and curiosity. And how can we be human without being curious? That is some humanist theological gold right there.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, how can we? I think I'll write about that someday. Maybe that's
Yeah,
a sermon I'll put together. Okay, I'll
that
come
sounds
back and give you
good.
that sermon. Okay.